If superglue sticks to everything, how do we get it out of the container? I don't know the answer to that one either. But how do we know anything? We learn it. Well, some of us learn by seeing, others learn by hearing, and some even by doing things. We all learn in our own ways, and we can use the way people learn to make God known. One way of learning is auditory learning, where people learn by hearing. In Acts chapter 8, verse 30, Philip crosses paths with an Ethiopian eunuch, saying, "Do you understand what you are reading?" And he answers, "How can I, unless someone guides me?" This explains that the Ethiopian eunuch didn't understand by reading alone. He benefited from hearing Philip's teachings. The Ethiopian eunuch then believed so strongly he was immediately baptized. Last year, one of my favorite classes was history. But I tell you, history is not my favorite subject. So why did I like my history class? Because my teacher was an outstanding storyteller, and he had the ability to make me enjoy hearing and learning from him. In the same way, we are called to share our experiences and encourage others' faith. Another style of learning is visual learning, which is learning by sight or seeing something done. I learned Taekwondo by attending classes and watching the moves of a pattern or technique. Then, I would copy the instructor. I can even watch myself in the mirror to make sure I'm doing it correctly. Have you heard the saying, "I'll believe it when I see it"? This is a frequently used opposition to belief in God. Lots of people need to see things to believe them. Just like Thomas said in John 20, verse 25, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands, and put my finger where the nails were, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe." Thomas actually saw Jesus, and even though we can't show others Jesus, we can show them the things that he has done. Jesus' response to Thomas in verse 29 was, "Have you believed because you have seen me? Blessed are those who believe and haven't seen me." We don't have the luxury of seeing Jesus, and even though we can't physically see God, we can see the wonders he has done, the earth and people he has created, and most importantly, people can see our faith and belief in God. Finally, a few people are kinesthetic learners, which means they learn by doing. When I learned to ride a bike, there was no choice on how to learn. I had to just do it. I had to get on my bike, try to ride, fall, then try to ride again. I was lucky I had my dad right there beside me, helping me as I learned. We can help others learn about God by doing what God has asked us to do, which is spread his word. This is a very effective way to learn about him. In Acts 18, verse 26, Apollos was speaking boldly about the baptism of John in the synagogue where he was teaching. But when Priscilla and Aquila heard him, they took him aside and explained to him the way of God more accurately. While Apollos was teaching, he was still able to learn something new, which allowed him to change his teachings to include the baptism of Jesus. So how can we learn how superglue doesn't get stuck inside of its container? How can we teach others about God? There are many ways to learn and teach, and it's important to use and keep in mind all of them when we're making God known. We've not seen God or Jesus, yet we still believe. We know the different ways to teach and the different ways people learn. So it's time to go out and teach the good news, as we are commanded in Mark 16, verse 15. Go into all the world and proclaim the gospel to the whole creation. Then we can help those we teach to do the same.